They know it, but वहां लोग काले हैं. ये गोरे की तलाश में हैं सब. सब के सब एक ही हैं. They will not go, not a single Mughal, not Razia Sultan, not Khilji, not Tughlaq, not one person visited the first mosque of Islam, which should be on the first stop on any Islamic tourism of India. No. Where do they want to go? ना ना ना, ताजमहल तो बाद में आता है. कुतुब मीनार. फिर वहाँ गाइड कहता है 26 जैन टेम्पल तोड़ के बनाया था हमने ये. I caught him by the ear. I said, I no speak English. जरा बताइए फिर से क्या बोला आपने? He thought Tarek Fateh अपना मुसलमान आदमी, तो his official guide is telling me with pride. सर 26 जैन टेम्पल तोड़ के बनाया था. You got Qutub Minar, which is you have got Tughlaq Road, all these things. Unless you stand up and say, this is Bharat, we're even ready to call it Hindustan or Republic of India. You are not going to lecture us about what is the ethos of this place by telling us, as after 10 years as vice president, that Muslims have a bad deal. No, 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 no. This is not allowed. Somebody has to stand up to this. You cannot have Janta Ka reporter working with Mr. Kejriwal linked up to the Pakistan ISI. You cannot have a line of control where you're constantly being bled. You guys should ask the government of India to break off diplomatic relations with Pakistan and impose your own blockade. India should declare Pakistan as a terrorist state instead of asking the United Nations to do it. Yes. And after what has happened, the atrocities committed by the Pakistan army in Balochistan, and what they're doing in Punjab now with the elected prime minister being thrown out of power, what evidence do you need that right next to you is the world's birthplace of international jihadi terrorism? That ISIS is having Pakistan army trained recruiting camps in Balochistan to make that war of independence into a war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So, I'll just conclude, and perhaps we can have question and answers later. If you cannot get one Indo-Canadian elected to Parliament or the Ontario legislature who is unashamedly as pro-India as our foreign minister is pro-Ukraine, as our citizenship minister is pro-Turkey, as our health minister, women's minister is pro-Afghanistan, as there are 2 Pakistani MPs who are not just pro-Pakistan but pro-Pakistan ISI, then there is something wrong that the Indo-Canadian community is doing, and it is time for them to stand up and say that we have 1,000-year experience of fighting Islamofascism, and anybody who goes and reads prayers in a mosque and claims then not to be a Muslim is a liar. Somebody's got to stand up to this, what are they called? Flatboard apps or something? Six-pack. Boxer Prime Minister. I mean, how could you elect a failed drama teacher to be the Prime Minister of a country? Oh, he's so beautiful. He's so cool. Oh, I get hot flashes. Oh my God, you ruined a beautiful country by electing an idiot. It's like Rajiv Gandhi as the Viceroy of India. You know, it's really, really bad. Or Bilawal Bhutto becoming Prime Minister of Pakistan. It is a worldwide catastrophe that we're facing. The Third World War started on the day 9/11 attack took place. If by now you have not gotten the message, then your next generation is living in a fool's paradise. In 5 years, the entire world came together to destroy the Wehrmacht. In 5 years, the world's largest military machine was destroyed on Eastern Europe. Our soldiers fought, Senegal fought, Mao Zedong fought, Chiang Kai-shek, Stalin, Roosevelt, Churchill, de Gaulle, everyone joined hands with Ho Chi Minh, and I can name you tens of thousands of people around the world, except, by the way, the Arab world. They said, I don't know what's happening, let's make money out of this deal. Nobody fought on any side except Sadat and Nasser were in the Africa Corps of Rommel, which nobody wants to talk about. And the Mufti of Palestine was recruiting in Bosnia for the SS. So, bhaiya, we need to take a stand within Canada, and not because we are trying to bring India's problems to Canada, we are trying to bring India's solutions to Canada because we owe it to Canada to say beware. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, before we go into the Q&A side, was it mesmerizing? To me, it was. I think we have heard a lot of truth today, which probably we didn't want to hear, or would have not, or as a matter of fact, loved to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a little short ceremony which I'd like to conduct before the Q&A starts. I'd like to invite all the CI board members to come over. Please on this little ceremonial side, please.
Just now that we have a break, I just want to remind everybody that next year is going to be election year in Ontario. So please know your MP, and find out which side that MPP is leading. Is he pro-Canada? Is he pro-India? Is he pro your community? Right? Find that out before you exercise your franchise. And please do exercise your franchise. Regardless of party, right? Exercise your franchise for your benefit. Right? That is the most important thing. We haven't got enough candidates. We haven't got enough candidates from the Indo-Canadian community who we can say are secular, but Canada-India Foundation, in the development of its public policy agenda, will develop young leaders to come in front in the future. And one of the things that we really want to do is we want to engage with you and your friends. So if you can register or get your friends to register at our website, right, then we will from time to time send you our newsletters. We will also send you different pieces of information that we want to disseminate to the organization beyond the board of CII. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a little token of appreciation to our guest of honor today, Mr. Tarek Fateh. Now it's Q&A time. Okay, I see the first hand raised of Dr. Om Malik. Please, let me pass on the microphone to you. Oh, maybe you have a louder voice anyway.
First of all, thank you very much for such a illustrious presentation, and we really enjoyed knowing some of the historical facts. I just like to know that either the Prophet or the earlier followers of the Prophet, what did they have against India that they put in this Ghazwa-e-Hind?
Actually, the Prophet said that I am not from, I am from Arabia, but I would have to check what's correct, but in effect he said I'm not from India, but my heart is Hind. That too is a prophet saying. The problem is what he said or what he didn't say is of no consequence because there's no way to establish what is right or wrong. And much of what today Islam is comes from the 13th century so-called Islamic jurist Ibn Taymiyyah, who was neither Arab nor Turk. I think he was Albanian. And in consequence to the defeat of the Arabs at the hands of the Mongols in 1258, after which the Arabs have never had sovereignty over themselves, it was very convenient for them to believe that they were superior than everybody else. So the doctrine that said that any non-Arab who considers himself or herself as equal Muslim to an Arab is committing an act of sin. Subsequent to that, a different Islamic history gets written. So the invasion of Sindh by Muhammad bin Qasim has very little to do with Ghazwa-e-Hind because this hadith was not written by them. It's not possible. The hadith about Ghazwa-e-Hind is written after he invaded India to capture the family of Prophet Muhammad who had got refuge under Raja Dahir of Sindh, and to take back these the split within Islam where the Prophet's own family was considered non-Muslim by the Caliphate. So the attack on India had nothing to do with Ghazwa-e-Hind by the Arabs. The attack on India by Ghaznavi, who is an Afghan, is based on the hadith of Ghazwa-e-Hind. That might sound very confusing, but I could draw a chart and tell you how this is so illogical sometimes. And once you validate the hadith by saying, well, the Prophet married a 6-year-old, the Prophet is bad, then you confirm exactly what your enemies want you to do by validating the book that Muslims say should not be accepted. Even more confusing.
Thank you.
Ramesh Shoda.
Came from renowned journalist and a political practitioner. Do you think Kashmir problem will ever be solved?
Yes. The day Balochistan is independent, Kashmir is free. The problem with India is it has got too many babus. And everyone who becomes an IAS officer, his wife starts planning his retirement and the apartment that they will live in. And no problem can be solved because that would mean his elimination. In 1971, when you had the entire Pakistan army at its feet, your so-called super intellectual Kashmiri calls, right? Wohi the na, Foreign Secretary. They gave away Pakistan's military because Benazir Bhutto was very beautiful. There was no rocket science. You saw a woman who looked charming, spoke English with a British accent, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto with a cigar, playing billiards. And say, yaar, kya baat hai, kya English maal leke aaya. And you gave away Pakistan. So, Gilgit-Baltistan is sovereign Indian territory. You don't even have members of Congress from there. Mujhe theke pe de. I will get 6 members of the Lok Sabha from Gilgit-Baltistan and Muzaffarabad sit in the Indian Lok Sabha. Then what are you going to do? Who is stopping you from doing that? Your babus. मोदी साहब 1 लाख सिविल सर्वेंट को फायर कर दें और उनकी बीवियों को रख लें, ये मुल्क ठीक चल पड़ेगा.
Tarek bhai,
जी.
I applaud your fearless activism, and today I learned you're a good educator as well. on history. So your next book should be written about the history. I've seen your 2 other books. But my question, that's a request to write a book on history. My question is, can India and Pakistan live in peace?
No.
Let me go further.
Okay.
Bangladesh and India have, in a way, become peaceful. At least we are not fighting with Bangladesh. Bangladeshis are not fighting with us. And things are improving on that front. The rest of the world, Canada, US, can live together. What is it should be done? I understand the history. That's water under the bridge.
It can't.
What is it that can be done in the
You're
future?
saying that you have a tumor on your spine, and how can we live together? मैं आपसे बोलूं सर्जरी कराए, आप बोले साथ साथ रहेंगे। पागल हो गए क्या? Sir, no. There is no Hind without sin. You understand that?
Okay.
Khatam. ये देखे एंड में आके किसी औरत से कोई सवाल नहीं इजाजत
नहीं मैं पूछ रहा हूँ
आप
thank you very much sir so one thing actually confused me when you said that in Canada we have a solution which should come from India but at certain point of your lecture you said that we Indians are also very confused. Unless you came there, we never changed our name of the road, right? So, what is that solutions which we can bring to Canada and we're talking about?
Look, most of the world today thinks in terms of 1,000 years as a long period. The Hindu thinks of 1,000 years as a split second. So your view of the world is so divergent from contemporary thought process that you are an aberration. And because of that, this is my impression from the outside. Because of that, you don't take things too seriously. Your goal in life is to improve yourself, to reach a stage where you are wise and you do not work as a tribal community unless you are in the tribal areas, right? Unless you are Naxalites, unless you are in Simi or you're in the LET or the entire Pandit community could not come with one suicide bomber. नहीं बताएं सब चले गए बोले हम अमीर होने जा रहे हैं अमेरिका सब चले गए the most prosperous community in North America today is the Hindu Pandit community, right? The Kashmiris. एक भी नहीं है जिसमें दम हो कि वो नवाज शरीफ की स्टॉक के अंदर जाके जैसे अहमद खान बलोच ने बीच में रफड़ डाला था and got thrown out. I've never heard of anyone. You've got one congressman, Mr. Khanna, young chap from Seattle, wonderful guy. You have one very pro-Indian woman from Hawaii, apni Tulsi. You think your guys rally around them? 92% of Indo-Americans voted for Clinton because you wanted H1B1. फकीरों की तरह you voted. Hi my बाप, visa दे दो, visa please. She is anti-India, you voted for her. You gave up everything for your second cousin who's going to come and join you. H1B1, H1. I was horrified. As an Indian, I found it humiliating that my community would be voting on a visa buying scheme. For all his faults, Trump is the only one who has the guts to say Islamic terrorism. This is a world war. We are fighting Islamofascism, and one guy may be stupid, but he has the guts to say that. And you support Obama because he eats chapati? He has Indian friends? He listens to Bollywood? And he says, why go to Taj Mahal when we have 17th century rulers who are still alive in Saudi Arabia? उसने बोला था ना अपनी बीवी को, कहाँ जाती हो ताजमहल? मैं असली ताजमहल दिखा सऊदी अरेबिया में, वो तो 17th century किंग आज भी जिंदा है. He went there. Indian Americans, एक ने नाम बदला, दूसरे ने मजहब बदला, उसका गलत हो गया, उसने कहा फिर बदल दो. That guy changed it 3 times. Jindal, he converted to the wrong Christianity. अरे बुलचोक्स, मिस्टेक हो गए. फिर उसको फिर बदला. लानत है ऐसे आदमी पे. हाँ, वो निक्की है, वो कहते हैं मुझे प्यार से निक्की बोलते हैं, पंजाबी में निक्की मीन्स छोटी जई. I mean, यार सानू तो ना माना. That is not the Indian you wish to be. Tulsi Gabbard or Roy Khanna, I think his name is, पढ़ें. The guy is talking for Canadian-style universal health care. तमाम US के इंडियन जो डॉक्टर्स हैं, they are against him. सबके बच्चे यहाँ आना चाहते हैं क्योंकि यहाँ यार consistency, truthfulness and consistency. Without, it is the Vedas that say that your right is not to expect. ये हमारे कुरान में नहीं लिखा है, ये आपके वेदास में, गीता में है शायद. हाँ, कि आपका राइट ही नहीं है एक्सपेक्ट करना. आपका राइट है काम करे जाओ विदाउट एक्सपेक्टेशन. यहाँ कहते नहीं, पहले हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन गारंटी करो फिर हम काम करेंगे. अरे यार, हाँ सॉरी.
कमाल कर दिए. और मेरे को एक पुरानी आपकी एक स्पीच थी जिसमें आपने you had used 2 words which basically contradicted Mullah's Islam and Allah's Islam. फर्क बताइए समझाइए.
अल्लाह का इस्लाम ये है कि the Prophet Muhammad's first companions were Muslim before the Quran was revealed. Right? 2 मुसलमान बचे हैं हॉल के अंदर. आचार्य साहब. So the Prophet's companions converted to Islam when the Quran didn't exist. Mathematically, आप लोग तो हिंदू सुना ज़्यादा मैथमेटिक्स में तगड़े होते. इसका मतलब ये है इक्वेशन में कि you can be a Muslim without even having the Quran. So then what is it that makes someone a Muslim? ये तो पूछना पड़ेगा ना. Which is a very simple thing. No mullagiri, no pandit, no pope, no nothing, no subservience to anyone except the Creator, which is Judaic extreme monotheism. ये है अल्लाह का इस्लाम. वहाँ से स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट इस बेसिक पे जो इसमें बिलीव करता है वो मुसलमान है. चाहे वो उसको राम बोलता है, ईश्वर बोलता है, कुछ भी बोले, गॉड बोले. जो कहता है कि subservientness to a human being is कुफर. ये है अल्लाह का इस्लाम. मुल्ला का इस्लाम ये है कि 4 बजे सुबह अजान देंगे हम लाउड स्पीकर के ऊपर, सोनू की तो ऐसी की तैसी. ये मुल्ला का इस्लाम है. Do you know there is a fatwa against loudspeakers? Yet it is the mosques that run loudspeakers. अल्लाह का इस्लाम is so easy कि इसमें कुछ करना ही. The microphone fatwa is from the Deobandi school in the year 1920s. जब लाउडस्पीकर चला तो मुल्ला ने कहा गई नौकरी अपनी. तो उसने बोला कि ये आवाज़ इतनी बड़ी शैतान से ही आ सकती है. So is the voice of Satan. So he issued a fatwa saying that anything that comes from a loudspeaker is satanic. Likewise, anything printed from a printing press is satanic, because the handwriting of the Quran, those katibs would have gone out of a job. So the printing press traveled from Heidelberg to Istanbul 200 or 300 miles in 200 years. It didn't reach. When it came to India and they came to the Mughals, I think it was the Portuguese who brought it, they asked the mullahs, they said, not good. Usne, okay, it's good enough for the Christians. So suddenly, there is a reason why India's Christian community are on average far more literate than the Hindus or Muslims or, the 50,000 religions and 80,000 gods that you have. Those guys had the printing press and the loudspeaker. The mullahs cancelled both of them. Now they don't have a book or this. So they are catching up by doubling the decibel level for back payment, Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to say in front of everybody that in the last 10 years, the best thing which has happened in India is your intervention. Trust me. I believe that you have been on the forefront of opening the eyes of Indians who have been actually living in slumber all these years. Now my question is, with the new regime after 70 years of problems, do you see India rising again, India shining again, and being actually Pandit was hounded from his home by the so-called Mullah by Islam? Do you think there's a solution coming to the street problems?
India can only accomplish its greatness if India can get rid of what it considers its greatness, which is Indians' individualism and their lack of, I would say, for lack of a better word, patriotism, not towards the country, but towards the heritage. If you don't have any idea of where you came from, there's very little likelihood that you will go anywhere, So, the Chinese are very clear about the black devils and the white devils and what is the Middle Kingdom, what is their role in society. Since the Indians have never invaded anyone, they have never seen the need to reconcile with the Industrial Revolution. For the romantics who think the donkey cart is the highest accomplishment that we need to reach, or the bullock cart, there is a message there which says you need to now reconcile of what are modes of production. What makes so many Indians so poor that they can be exploited? That why is it that the system that designated professions became a system that designated people's hierarchy in society? That requires a great revolution that might take a few hundred years. You can't wait for that. But if you want to be on the Security Council of the United Nations, then your concern for Yemen should not stop the day 100 Indian nurses are rescued. And then you shut the subject. An Indian would not know where Yemen is, because the Indian doesn't know where Baltistan is, which is his sovereign territory. An Indian doesn't know what is happening in Lahore. He doesn't even know what is Lahore. An Indian doesn't even know what is Sindh. He thinks it's part of his national anthem.
So most of the Indians don't know what happened to Kashmiri Pandits 28 years back.
Because you guys were so superior to yourself, because you happened to be so fair and lovely, that the other guys said, we are Biharis, what do we care? These guys are anyway so fair and lovely, they'll get anywhere. You have to understand the essence of color-based racism. You've got to study Du Bois and understand that the 20th century issue of color is there. There is a certain privilege that comes That is why $2.5 billion India spends unashamedly on whitening their skin. There is now an ad for whitening your underarms. I didn't even know that that would matter. I mean, what do you do? I've seen biceps coming out, you know, but underarms? I mean, who walks around like this? What? But, somebody should take a class action lawsuit against Fair and Lovely Cream. You cannot progress if your society, if you're middle class, your Seth Babus wish to sit in the back seat of a Maruti and a driver in the comfortable seat and wait at a 5-star hotel for someone to open your door but you can't get out and then carry your damn briefcase with you. And here you're cleaning your own toilets. This discrimination against the poor has to end for India to achieve greatness. The day your working class, which by the way has the potential, which works better and harder than any other people on earth, are valued, you will get pushed up as a result of it. You don't need to put people down. You need to let them go up so that you can be pushed up.
That's
Jesus.
Pankaj here.
Huh?
That is why I have two questions. Number one, is it really that Islam doesn't believe in boundaries? Like, number one. Second question would be that, is it that the largest section of Islamic, the Muslim community, I don't think it's a hidden guilt that 3 places.
First, let's ask the first question so I can answer it. It depends on whose Islam. There is no one Islam. There is 1.5 billion Muslims and there are 1.5 billion Islams. The Islam of the Arab is a pride for him or her as a product that he offered to the world that took over most of the civilized world in 100 years. The Iranian Islam, which is contemporary Shia Islam, which used to be Sunni Islam, is different because it now has taken on the form of being the Prophet's family's Islam, which is different. The Saudi Islam is based on Ibn Taymiyyah, who said that I cannot equate myself with an Arab. By doing so, I would be committing sin. So, within the interpretations of Islam, on the day Prophet died, there were 2 divisions. That's not Shia Sunni. Don't buy that nonsense. That's for the academics and idiots to tell you. It was between people who are called Ansar, like Mr. Ansari, and the Quraysh, like the butchers of Delhi, which are called the Qurayshis. And the doctrine came that the Quraysh are going to be the rulers and the Ansar are going to be their servants for all times to come. And somebody said, well, where did you hear that? The Prophet told me just before he died. That's the day this happened. So, aspects of Islam means that the entire universe is a brotherhood of people. Rabbul Alameen, the creator of all people on earth. We created you in nations and tribes so that you may live with each other, not against each other, so that you can learn from each other. That is also in the Quran. So you can draw your conclusions based on your own prejudices. You can slaughter cows in Hindustan because it hurts Hindus. But the Prophet said, don't eat the meat of cows because God made this creature for milk. So you find the Turks, the Iranians, the Arabs, unless they are the upper class Western steak eaters, they don't eat beef. When we ran into Indian immigrants coming to Pakistan, it was considered odd for people to be eating cow meat. We eat goat and lamb. Nobody. You go to Afghanistan, who eats a cow? In Arabia, there is no cow. There's not enough grass over there for human beings, let alone a cow. There's nothing there. There's oil and sand. God first gave them a religion, then they gave him oil. On both accounts, they failed people. It is the Persians who introduced intellect into Islam, and the Central Asians who relied on Indian numerology and all that. So, both are correct answers. That's the odd thing. It's up to you. But in the time of the nation state, our position should be that in separation of religion and state is essential, because the nation state does not depend on citizenship based on inherited race or religion. Our citizenship is based on human-created laws by parliaments and legislatures that can be changed by future generations. That's what a law is. Divine laws are laws that can never be changed. So you're stuck in DOS 3.1. You haven't even gone to Windows 3.1. You're just stuck at that. Reformat hard drive.
Sir, second question very quickly, that the word secular, it means school and church, they are separate. School is
yes.
The church and state.
Yes.
But in Islam, in basic tenet, if you see that, how it can be separate, because
there is no state in Islam. No, don't bring your prejudices into your questions and make them rhetorical questions. There is no concept of state in Islam.
Islamic state they call now?
There is no state. Do you know of an Islamic state ever? कुछ तो पढ़ा होगा आपने कि कौन सा state? हाँ, the Prophet didn't have a state. You're making a state of your own. Where are you coming from? That's the question. Go home and answer yourself, looking in the mirror. Why did I ask that question? What, did I ask for knowledge, or did I ask to make my own point? And you get the answer.
My own point, sir. I just want to hear from you.
नहीं भैया, आप rhetorical question मत क्या करें. Rhetorical question never get an answer.
Maybe what he's trying to say is to understand the difference between Darul Islam, Darul Arab, and
It doesn't exist.
it's a state of mind.
It's not even a state of mind, it is a complete nonsense. Because nobody created a state. There is no state. There never was a state. There were Nawabs and rulers and invaders and marauders. Medievalism is full of people invading each other.
They reached up to Morocco, sir.
They
reached up to Morocco and Algeria and everywhere. There was a state.
That was not a state. What do you mean by state? They didn't even... what do you mean Morocco? Do you know how many Arabs perished looking for the Sahara Desert and never came out of it? There were 26 states in Spain. Do you know that? So what do you mean state? There were 26 different kingdoms in Islamic Spain. How many were there in India? At least 100.
Okay, sir. Sorry, give me 1 second, please. One at a time, please.
Yeah.
That gentleman? Yeah.
Tarek ji, thank you very much. Your show, I think that show made the most damage to the Mullah Islam in India, I think. And I'm just wondering if you would continue with that. And for some reason, if you're not able to do it, can you point us to some person that you think is a good
Then, you see, if you want to read about this concept, there is a gentleman called Ghulam Muhammad Parvez from Lahore, who's written extensively in English. There is another scholar who has taken refuge in Malaysia. I forget his name. Ki naam? Hamdi, Maulana Hamdi. He's there. There are a lot of people. But that should not be your concern. Your concern should be to make sure that you enable enough Muslims to be able to stand up to the horrors of Islamism. You cannot fight this on your own.
Who's got the microphone?
Somebody ran away with it.
Yeah. Okay, the green t-shirt.
Will even one woman ask a question? I mean, this is outrageous.
Okay, why don't you give
Yeah,
the
go
lady
ahead.
first?
Any lady, yeah.
That lady. Let's start with you.
I know that lady, nothing.
It's a very enlightening evening with you right now. I've been following you quite a while on Twitter, and you've really given a new meaning to the Islam we knew as children, because all the friends that I met were, all about charity. That's how I know, Islam, friendliness. Nowadays, Islam is only associated with invading, killing, and it's, can it change?
It will, as soon as the oil runs out. I think when Tesla are common, you will notice Saudi Arabia will split into 3 parts. So when evil comes out from under the ground, it matches up with evil that is already resident, and it spreads like a plague or a cancer. So you need to understand that the root of this evil is Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is an occupying power of the holy sites of the Muslims. It's just that the Muslims are dumb enough to deflect all their anger against the Jews. And the reason is because there are too few Jews. Kya kar lenge bichare? It's not that there are a billion Indians, so we better be careful. There's only 15 million Jews. So every day, 26 times a day, every mosque in every prayer, we start off by cursing the Christians and the Jews. Friday we deserve it for Hindus, when we ask for victory over the Kamal Kafri. That's just a special day for you.
But I do put myself in place of Allah. I mean, it gets tiring when one person keeps on telling you the same thing all day, like 5 times a day. They ask, isko maar do, isko ye kar do, mujhe Allah ye do. Allah must be tired for sure.
He is. Don't you see? Don't you see he's given up on Muslims? I mean, what part of it you don't understand? You know what we say? Let me say the first verse of the Quran that is printed. That's not the first verse. It says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Maliki Yawmiddin Iyaka Na'budu. Oh God, you're great. And then it says quietly, shh, curse those. We curse those that you have cursed, cast a curse on, and those who have drifted away, which is fine. You curse the child pedophiles. You could put any. After 150 years, somebody said, but what does this mean? So one guy said, don't worry, Prophet told me who they are. Who? He says, those who are cursed are the Jews, and those who are led astray are the Christians. Who? Every Quran now has that. Now they do that. My simple answer is that God meant those who are cursed is the Muslim, and those who are led astray are the Muslims. And that will sort out the chaos, because we are the cursed people. We haven't created a safety pin in the last 500 years. We can't make a bicycle. We don't even have a damn walking stick, because if you buy a walking stick, it's usually a straight stick, which you can't hold at right angles. We don't have cameras. We don't make phones. We don't have desks. We don't have eyeglasses. We don't have shoes. We don't have pants. We don't make underwear. We don't make anything. So we are the ones who are cursed. But one day they'll realize it and say, well, let's not get cursed. ठीक है ना? If the Quran doesn't mention the Jews and the Christians, why are people lying? And then all these Anglicans and Catholics and Jewish priests get together, interfaith. There's never a Hindu in interfaith. Have you seen that? An interfaith gathering between Sikhs, Hindus and Buddhists? No, they don't need to. Unka chalta rehta hai aapas mein. It's always the Muslim, and there's always a sharp English accented woman like the MP from Erindale. What's her name? Ikra. By the way, Ikra means read. I'm serious. That's her name, to read. God, she has read nothing. And so these interfaith dialogues take place. Basically, it's appeasement of Hitler. Because all these Anglican, Catholic, Jewish, and blah, 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 and they're actually, pardon the word, shit scared. So saying, जब मारने को आओगे हमें तो नहीं मारना, हमने तो तुम्हारे इंटरफेथ किया था. That's what it is. I've said you can't have interfaith. Why is there never a Sikh in an interfaith meeting? It's the latest religion on the market. It has the most scientific analysis of our times. I mean, you read Nanak and you want to be Sikh. Serious guy. No, you're okay, you're out of the equation. Just the three wise men from the East will come. The Jew, the Muslim, and the Christian will talk and try to convince each other. One believes in, a flying horse. The other believes in a splitting river. The other says God had a son. Let's get together and laugh at each other's religion. That's interfaith.
For now, I'm happy with
Ravi Shankar.
Ashokji, please. Thank you. Ashok.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have only one question.
Either.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yes.
The key message in your wonderful address this evening was, time for the talk is over.
Yes,
It's time for a wake-up call.
absolutely.
My question to you is, in your many trips to India, did you get an opportunity to talk to the Indian political masters? And what was their
To
feedback?
who, sorry?
To the Indian political masters?
No.
Never.
No.
If you'd like to talk to them and tell them,
They know what I say because they made sure I was not killed. When ISIS had 4 guys, I could have survived. So I'm fine. But your first question is what is to do? Let me just say something. There's a by-election coming for the Provincial Assembly in Toronto Centre. Not Toronto Centre, sorry. What's my neighborhood? I've forgotten my own riding. Glen Murray was the MPP. Right, the Cabbage Town area, Regent Park, that. No. Wahan no Indian is ever seen.
Toronto Centre.
Toronto Centre? Yes, Toronto Centre. Toronto Centre. Why don't you run a candidate there? Let him lose, so what?
I think the message is a good message for all of us, Indo-Canadians here. And don't forget, we are now, most of us daily to now to convey the same message to the lecture.
No. Never lecture your sons or daughters. I never sat down with them. It's your work example. That's what I'm saying. Don't have expectations. Keep doing. They will follow you. If you brought your office copy of the latest application and copied on to your daughter and son, no, then you're not to be trusted.
How do we make them aware of the issue?
They're aware. And the point is you could learn something from them. You can learn something from them. Our baby boom generation is unfortunate that we were lectured by our parents as well as by our kids. And that's why we are lucky. Yes.
You said that the fatwa issued on you.
Yes.
I want to understand how is fatwa different from contract killing or Somali?
It is.
Why is the Indian government not calling it? Why is the Indian government not making it criminal?
Here's the point. The Indian legal system, criminal law system, is highly flawed in that the Crown, in our Canadian context, can take action. The Crown acts in terms of a criminal system. The Indian legal system is such that the victim has to file the first information report and has to become identified as the complainant, and only then the police can charge someone. So reporting someone for a crime has become a tool of punishment to people to harass them rather than to alleviate it. So the Indian criminal justice system is flawed. The legal system is flawed that allows for someone who threatens death to another person even the Prime Minister, the same guy threatened the Prime Minister as well, that he would get him killed. He's still in Calcutta with his red beard, which I told him on TV that you eat too much pan and it's flowing on your hair. Yeah, I said, I mean, how else does a person have a red beard? Red beard, I mean.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So first, I'd like to thank you for your time and your wisdom here. Much appreciated. My name is Ram, and I belong to CROOPS. It stands for Keep Religion Out of Public Schools. Okay. We are a Canadian not-for-profit. My question to you is, what is your view about what's happening in the Canadian public institutions, especially the educational institutions, that are allowing prayers in an organized manner in the garb of religious accommodation? Do you think it is constitutional?
I know what you're talking about. You're coming too late to the game. They took over every school. Every high school in North America, urban high school, has a Muslim Brotherhood center, a room set aside for jihadis and Islamists to collect and organize. Whether it's a high school, whether it's a university, whether it's Ryerson, UFT, in the Premier's own riding, the cafeteria is taken over. Where were people protesting there? No one. You remember the guy who spoke about first they came for blah blah and nobody spoke? They already done the damage. You're late. Someone asked me, where's Ram? He was here. I said, take a, oh yeah, that's him. I'm sorry, the light is in my eyes. I said, take a 6-month vacation because you got, your entire movement against these jihadis was tainted by that idiot and that strange woman who would appear everywhere and tear up the Quran and throw it into dustbins. Sandra, what was her name? Sandra, yeah. Yeah. What? This other guy said a person called Singh is going to Detroit, Windsor to blow up something. He didn't even know that once you're a Singh, you're no longer a Muslim. That's either a Rajput Hindu or a Punjabi Sikh. Idiot. People like that are leading your movement? And you're saying, what can be done? Sir, I'm leading the movement. Yes, then no, you first have to go against that Kevin guy and Sandra guy. You first have to flush the gutter, clean it out, before you wonder about what contamination is there. You block the gutters. You cannot fight hate with hate. I've seen my friend over here, who was the Baloch guy, he was attacked by communist guys at the city of Toronto at a protest, but then he was offended because people were tearing up the Quran and throwing it into garbage bins. What sort of idiot does that? A very foolish idiot. At least get smart idiots. You know, make-believe Arab. Oh, this happened to me in Arab. What the hell are you talking about? You can fool non-Muslims. You can't fool us. That your goal is to make sure that Islam 103 is enacted. And that's what happened. We would have won the case and that your leaders screwed it up. It's on your case. You never, ever fight hate with hate. If you'd been part of the civil rights movement, you would have known. To fight evil, you have to be truthful. Take a 6-month break, come back fresh, and then we hit them so hard that they won't know what to, because we need to expose the bigger agenda, which is the destruction of Canada as we know it. We can't let little tin pot dictators like Mussolini Jr. running around. Now he's happy that he's been charged with a hate crime. He's a hero. Of who? You cannot have hate mongers leading a truthful movement. Anti-Muslim behavior is fundamentally anti-Canadian. We have one law that helps us all, that is the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that guarantees every citizen the right to be of a certain religion, to leave that religion, or to have that religion. You can't take it away. So if you are going, or anyone is going to go into movement saying, Hindu's bad, like the Khalistanis are doing it today, we can't allow that. You worried about school system? Your bloody parliament has ISI representatives sitting there. Your minister lied about where she was born. She's still there. Oops. I'm Iran. Oops. I'm Afghanistan. Oops. I'm Pakistan. I don't know where I was born. Sitting in the cabinet. There's another MP whose brother is a general in the Pakistan army. Now you tell me, if someone, an adult, had a sibling in a general in the Pakistan army with the ISI, that general must have grown up with her. Probably here. You worried about high schools? Your parliament is in the hand of a foreign minister and a defense minister who's alleged to have ties with Khalistanis. You got ministers who celebrate the downing of Air India. Bhaiya, we got bigger problems at hand than the tin pot idiots over here. We need to get members of parliament elected who can defeat Iqra Khalid. If you can't get if Iqra Khalid gets elected, it will be a slap in the face of every right-thinking Canadian on this planet, because that single woman is working for the Pakistan ISI. And her inauguration, her election the next day, she and that other member of parliament went to the Pakistan High Commission. There are MPs elected who got celebrated in Lebanon. What sort of person gets elected to a legislature in Canada and says, oops, I'm going to Ukraine. It's so nice over there. What? You got a foreign minister, you got a foreign secretary who was born in Saudi Arabia. There's a citizenship minister who's organizing for Erdogan. Big problems and too few people. You have something that can help you that no other group of people have, which is your fundamental belief that truth cannot be stopped from rising to the top. That's your motto, that's your religion, that's your goal, and you cannot become your enemy in fighting that enemy.
Very well said.
Sir.
I have 2 questions for you.
Oh, you never come with this.
One. Okay. One is firstly, I must admit that I have not read Quran, and I was having a big discussion with a Muslim friend of mine, right? No. And so things went down, and finally I had to, like you said, in Saudi Arabia there is nothing but sand and oil. And I was sort of...
Okay, question.
The question is,
yes.
In Quran, the land of sand and oil...
No, question.
Our question is,
statement
does Quran mention oil in Quran?
No.
Okay, so that's where that guy got really stuck, because he couldn't answer that. And
what do you mean he couldn't answer that? There was no oil anywhere.
No, true. But, you answered it, but he didn't answer it. I'm just telling you the fact. That's the point where the Muslims get stuck.
You got stuck over there.
Okay.
The British wouldn't have left if they had found oil.
My real question to you is, this group is thinking about next year there is an Ontario election.
Yes.
I am thinking about the Independence Day, India Independence Day celebration that's coming next week.
Yes.
And what would you suggest we do and say that this is not Independence Day but Amputation Day, as you said?
Just say that.
Okay. How do you approach it? Is this?
I would never be at a place where Indians sing Iqbal Sare Jahan Se Acha Hai Hindustan Hamara. What a bunch of idiots who sing a song written by the guy who wanted to destroy India. How could you do that? I've seen you singing it.
I can't sing any song.
I know. I know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Lady, please.
Sorry, you had a question next.
Hello, sir. My name is Dara, and this evening was extremely enlightening. I absolutely enjoyed it, but I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, from someone from my generation, or young individuals that are here today, something that I rather would like to get your insight on is, you do say don't fight, hate with hate, fight it with the truth. But at the same time, I find someone of my generation where you hear there's groups and there's so much else going on. At the end of the day, how do you find truth with individuals that define their actions or hide their actions behind a blanket of religion and justify it under a cult of moral idiocy? I find like they don't understand, as you said.
Don't befriend them. Mock them out of existence. A cartoon character, a caricature is supposed to be entertainment value, not serious. Anybody who who is of Indian background and wears an Egyptian hijab needs to be mocked out of the room. Just look at her and laugh till she says why and says, God damn it, where the hell did you get that crackpot? Oh, idiot, when did your ears become your vaginas? That's the question you have to ask. What the hell happened to your head? Why is that torn condom on your head? You want, at your age, that's what I would have done. But I'm not at that age. Where anyone with a beard and no mustache, she said, where are they shooting the Planet of the Apes? Yeah, really, because you seem like an extra who walked away wearing a long frock. And why are your ankles showing? वो बड़े भाई का pajama, छोटे भाई का kurta. Why? Why? How does a person play football with a long gown? Did you ever see the Pope play cricket with that? You're going to mock them out of existence. You stupid people. Don't waste your brains on them.
I'm going to take, I think we should not.
Two
questions. Two last questions.
I was, by the way, advised not to come here because not only do I have cancer treatment going on, I have a very embarrassing infection. I just discovered it's called mono, which is teenagers kissing disease. And the nurse said, what are you going to tell your wife? And it's very painful, so if you notice I'm taking tablets. But I swear on God, I have not kissed a teenager since a long, long time. Two questions and I should go.
Gentleman has got the mic.
ये कैंसर ट्रीटमेंट सक्सेसफुल हो and you live for long many years to come. People like you in our society. Sir, I have very two short questions.
Yes.
Number one question is कि हमारे Indian community में unity बहुत ही weak है and leadership की बहुत ही problem है. There are thousands of leaders, yes, and each leader has one follower. तो especially in Canada, India का तो पता नहीं क्या हाल है, लेकिन इसका क्या solution हो सके कि we can have one leader or maybe a couple of strong leaders in our community.
Let me answer that. You run a candidate against Ikra Khalid, and the rest of Ontario should defeat her. And you will find out that your nominee will be the voice of Indo-Canadians. You don't need to worry about anything. You defeat one candidate. It's your duty, your obligation as a Canadian to root out evil from this land. And that's what you need to do. And if you can run a Muslim against her, who can defeat her, alhamdulillah. That's just a thought of it excites me really. Defeated by a fellow Muslim.
You don't want to get more than a mono now.
Oh! Come on. I could have a... Yeah, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Second. Last question.
Yeah, last question. Ji.
आयुर्वेद डॉक्टर तो मेरे पास काफी पाकिस्तानी भी आते हैं आयुर्वेदिक ट्रीटमेंट के लिए तो इनका मानना ये होता है कि भाई हमारे पाकिस्तान में भी बिकॉज आई नो देयर वी डू क्वाइट अ बिट अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द ग्रोइंग हर्ब्स एंड एवरीथिंग तो पाकिस्तान में भी काफी अच्छी मतलब वो फर्टिलाइजर आई मीन गुड अच्छी जमीन है वहाँ बट दे डोंट ट्रस्ट देयर ओन पीपल तो माय पर्सनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि लाइक जैसा आपने बोला कि हेट के अगेंस्ट हेट नहीं काम कर सकती देयर शुड बी सम some kind of student election program होना चाहिए उनके बीच में।
No, ये झूठ बोलते हैं। Read
George Orwell's 1984, and you might find it somewhere on my Facebook page as well. His definition of double speak, which I suggest is double thinking, which is the ability to lie and speak at the same time without knowing whether you are lying or speaking the truth. Where the same argument is debated by the same person with alternating positions depending on who's listening. The ability to be compulsive liars is the foundational principle of the Islamic State of Pakistan. A people who can lie as to who they are a people who will lie about everything else. A people ashamed of their mothers, their mother tongue, their ancestry, their heritage, will do anything because they don't know who they are. You folks who share the culture of the same land, you are from the Punjab, all India comes from, some Indians said, oh, it is in Haryana, it is not in Punjab. I meet foolish Indians, my God, I swear. Somebody was arguing with me that Mahabharata and Kurukshetra are not Punjab. Haryana divide ho gaya, janab, naya state bana hai. Oh my God, you created an artificial boundary and then you said that Mahabharata didn't take place in Punjab. How the hell? I'm dealing with crooks and murderers on one side, dealing with idiots and fools on the other. Don't trust a Pakistani until unless he's willing to say he's a Punjabi or a Sindhi or a Mahajir or a Pathan or a Baloch. If a Pakistani acknowledges that he is who the soil is, then he will be truthful. If he is acting out another role, hating India but adopting India's language Urdu, he's a confused idiot. If he persists with that, he's a congenital liar. And if he manages to get through to you, he's one of the double thinkers and double blamers. Beware.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a big hand to Mr. Tarek.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. You.